In today's video, I'd like to talk about why Tesla is dominating the EV market and how that's affected their growth. So to start this off, I just want to preface that they have sold hundreds of thousands of cars, and so they have a large network of cars and people and everyone buying them. And so there's no real shortage of Teslas like a lot of news outlets and media like to go and report, because there's always going to be growing markets for them. Like Canada, they used to not have Teslas for a while. They didn't get the Model 3s, but later on, they got them. And then that opens up a huge market to Tesla. And now there's like China, who can now get Model 3s, and they're now being made in China there at the Giga Factory 3. People that didn't normally want to buy Teslas are now wanting to go and buy them because of their savings in cost. Because if you think about it, you don't have to pay for oil changes, any gas, or anything that you have to deal with, or any really maintenance with these cars. They're very simple, and it's just a computer on wheels, and you plug it in every night. That's pretty much all you've got to do to keep it running. As long as you don't have the battery go down to zero, you can basically keep the car running for as long as you want. And so with that very minimal cost, I guess, to go and get started with these EVs, it's no choice compared to a gas vehicle. And a lot of people who were going to be buying gas cars are now switching over to Teslas and realizing why they're a lot better and why it makes more sense. And that keeps on opening up a larger and larger market. And this also goes for all EVs. Like people who maybe can't afford a Tesla that's a little too high, they might want a Nissan Leaf because that one's a little less expensive. Or they might decide, oh, I actually might want a Mach-E from Ford that's coming out later. I don't really like a Tesla, but I would like that one. There you go. And all the EVs, they all have a lot of good cost saving advantages, but a demand problem is non-existent. And at the moment, since Tesla is basically one of the only car manufacturers that's out there for EVs, then there really isn't much else to choose from. Like that Ford Mach-E I was saying, that doesn't come out till 2021, and the Model Y is expected to be coming out this summer, a lot earlier than what was previously expected. And it's based off the Model 3, and about 75% of it are parts taken from Model 3. And so you don't exactly have to worry about manufacturing tons of new parts for it, because a lot of them are the same, and the Model Y is basically a Model 3, but with the hatchback, and that's larger. And a lot of people like that, and for those kinds of buyers who like crossovers and SUVs, like in the US, there you go. It's just opened up a huge new market in the US. And that's not even talking about elsewhere. And China may be getting their own Tesla, and if they did get one that was more affordably priced, maybe had a smaller range on it, but that was only for the Chinese market, then with incentives that China gives, again, that opens up another market that they can go and sell in. And so a demand problem with Teslas is non-existent. And with other EVs, that can be a problem, because something like a Mach-E or an e-tron or the Mercedes EQC, all those vehicles, they don't have super great ranges on them, or even if they do have a great range, they don't have a good charging infrastructure, which is the next point I'd like to talk about. So having a good charging infrastructure and a good network is really key to having an EV that people can take on long distance road trips and they can use it as their only car. I know a lot of people that just have Nissan Leafs and they use it as their car around the city, but they don't use it for longer trips, mostly because it can't go on longer trips with a short range like that. And so they have to still keep a second car for that. Whereas with something like a Tesla, you already get pretty good range, even on a low-end model, around like 250 miles on those. And when you add that with the charging network that they've already built up since 2012, they've been adding all these superchargers, and there are thousands of them all over the US, Canada, Europe. It's everywhere. And so it's always going to be, every week it's always growing. And there are more and more chargers added for the growing number of cars that are also coming. And the problem that I see with a lot of other EVs and why they don't exactly take off is because there isn't a network to go and plug them all in. Yeah, there are networks like is Electrify America. And the problem with a lot of these chargers is that they don't offer great speeds, they have extremely high prices, and quite frankly, there just aren't enough of them. There aren't enough of them around here in the US and all these other markets where EVs are starting to expand into for them to become a viable option for people every single day. And so if people want to use these cars as a daily driver and they want to be able to also use it on longer road trips that they take or going anything above their range, they have to go and also consider where they're going to go and plug all these things in. And at the moment, whenever I go to like an EV charger that isn't one from Tesla, they usually only have 2 or 3 EV stalls. And if it's going to be a growing market more and more with Audi e-trons and Mach-E's, whatever else like Volkswagen and other automakers have all kind of brought in, if they want to keep on growing that, they're going to also need to grow the infrastructure around it. Because something like that gas does have an advantage right now is that there are gas stations everywhere you look. But for Tesla drivers, it isn't an issue for charging. They've always had the supercharger network, and it's something that is consistent and that's reliable and that keeps on expanding. And so there's no shortage of these chargers around. And so they can keep on expanding and growing. And Tesla owners can know that there's always going to be a place to plug in at a reasonable price. And the last and probably the biggest reason why Tesla is doing so well in the EV market is because they don't have to wait for other manufacturers to get all their batteries for these cars. Tesla has their own Giga Factory in Nevada where they can make all their batteries, give them right over to the factory in California, and produce the cars and ship them out to people. And so they don't have to go through different companies like they used to with Panasonic and like most companies from other manufacturers like Chevy that has to go through LG Chem to go and get all their batteries. And so sourcing these batteries can be a large issue, and for a while that was what was holding up the Model 3 production. Back in 2018, the Model 3s were at a big shortage because there weren't enough batteries for them. And so Tesla had to offer smaller range batteries so that they would have enough batteries for other models and they could keep on pushing them out. And that got into a really big issue for them until they added in a Giga Factory. They built that up and it's still being built today. It's still expanding and they have all the batteries that they can need to go and sell the cars. Whereas other manufacturers still don't have lots of batteries all lined up and are getting ready. And that really shines a light on the problem with other manufacturers where they don't already have cars out. They don't have e-trons everywhere right now. A lot of them aren't even selling. Mercedes EQCs, those aren't out yet either in the US. And a lot of these cars are not coming out yet for a while. And that's the issue, is that Tesla right now, they have a huge advantage over everyone else since they already have cars. They already are making cars for other people, and the lines for them aren't that long. For a Model 3, it's about 2 weeks for a car, and you've got it. And the thing is that with other manufacturers, you're going to have to wait years for them. And sometimes you don't even know when the car is going to even come out. They haven't listed a date, and a lot of these things are also just concepts. So my reasoning for why Tesla is doing so well are those main 3 things: that they've sold hundreds of cars, they have a good charging network, and they can make all their batteries in-house. And if other manufacturers can step up and they can also achieve all these things too, I think that there is going to be a good market for them and that they can still compete. But the thing is that they'd have to compete pretty soon, because at the moment Tesla is taking over the EV market share. And as seen time and time again, Tesla is going to keep on growing and growing into a larger and larger company, while other manufacturers keep on waiting. And those 3 things, those are why Tesla is dominating this market, and that's why they're doing so well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to more tech videos. Consider clicking that bell icon at the top if you want to be notified whenever a new video comes out. And if you're on Instagram, follow me at Tech Device News. I'll see you next time on Tech Device News.